Hi everybody, I'm Bonnie Barker with Bonnie Bay Crochet, and today I want to show you how to make the Liberty Shawl. And I'm calling it the Liberty Shawl because you are absolutely free to make this however you wish. You can use any yarn you choose with the appropriate size hook, and you can make this a small shawl or you can make this a large shawl. And let me just show you a couple of variations. This is the one that we're going to be crocheting in just a few minutes in this particular color scheme, and I'll show you the yarns that I'll be using for this. But let me show you a couple of other variations that I've really enjoyed making. This is with a totally self-striping yarn where the yarn does all of the work. And this was just a delight for the eyes. I'll go ahead and bring it a little bit closer so that you can see the texturized stitches there. And I do have one other example which I think is my favorite. And this is made of a blend of mohair, make sure I get it on the right side, mohair and silk. And I oversized my hook with this so that I would get a lot of detail. And just look at how light and feathery this is. I'm going to go ahead and put this one on. And this has just been my absolute favorite. Now, when it comes to working with a mohair silk blend like this, I will say up front that this is not the one to practice on. So once you become confident of the stitches and how to crochet this shawl, definitely try something in a fabric like this. And once you try this, oh my goodness, once you get used to crocheting with this type of yarn, I think you'll really enjoy it. Again, it's not for absolute beginners. This is not the place to start. Make sure that you gain some confidence using some yarn like this, the sock weight, merino wool, or even the cotton example that I showed you here. Well, anyway, let me go ahead and show you what you're going to need. For this project, I'm going to be using these three colors. This is yarn that I found at a local Hobby Lobby store, very economically priced. It's by Yarn Bee. It is all authentic hand-dyed tonal, or at least these two are. These two skeins have approximately 420 yards of sock weight or number one yarn, and this is more of a very variegated style of dyeing, and it has 400 yards. So this is what I'm going to be using. But again, feel free to use whatever you can find locally. Truly, any type of yarn will work for this particular project. I'm also recommending, if you use the sock weight yarn, to use a size G or 6 or 4.00 millimeter crochet hook. But again, if you're going to use a different size yarn, please size your hook according to the yarn that you will be using in order to achieve the drape that you prefer. And as always, I'm asking that you have a yarn needle and a pair of sharp scissors handy. So let me give you a closer view of some of the stitches in this shawl, including the edging trim. Okay, and you can see the blue is the shadow box stitch, and the purple color there, the orchid color, is the 4-post cable. Let me show you some of the other examples. This is using a 100% cotton. It's all self-striping, and I'll have the information for this yarn in the video description below should you be interested. But the yarn does all of the work, and you can see the same stitches, but yet with the slight change in the color. Okay, and the same edging. And now for the mohair silk blend, you can still see the same stitches. I did use an oversized hook. I bumped this up to a size H, which is more than what is recommended by the yarn, but you end up getting this very amazing ethereal effect when you complete a project like this. And you can see, I did block the edging, which helped this tremendously to give it definition. And I do highly recommend that you block these works. When you complete them, just simply wet block them and let them dry. To begin, I'm starting with my multicolored yarn, or the one with the speckles, and I'm going to make a slip knot, just like that, and I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to make a small circle by working a slip stitch in that first stitch. Now, if some of you want to use the magic circle for this, that's fine. You can go ahead and do this. This is just my preference. Okay, now I'm going to chain 4. And working inside the center of this circle, which is like a small Cheerio or small donut, I'm going to work 9 double crochets worked right into the center, and I'm going to try to work over that thread as I do this. Okay, I have 9 double crochets plus the chain 4 turning chain. Now we're going to chain 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to work 2 double crochets in that first stitch. Now I'm going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now in between the last stitch and the next stitch, that's in between the stitches down there, I'm going to work what essentially is going to be our corner, which is a double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet. Just a reminder, that is in between the last stitch and the next stitch. It is not in a stitch itself. Now I'm going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. And when we get to the turning chain, we're going to work 3 double crochets there. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to turn, chain 4. This is row number 3. We're going to work 2 double crochets. You're always going to work 2 double crochets in that first stitch of every row for this project. Now we're going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch until we get to the chain 2 corner. And as you can see, each row is going to increase both at the beginning of the row, at the end of the row, and for the corner, you're going to be adding 2 additional stitches here. So when you get to the chain 2 corner, just like we did the last row, we work a double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet. And then we're going to double crochet all the way, 1 double crochet in each stitch until we get to the turning chain. And there is 1 more stitch here. Don't forget the top of that last stitch. It would be easy to think that that is the turning chain when it is a double crochet. And then at the end, we work 3 double crochets in that last stitch. For row 4, we're going to chain 4, turn just like we've been doing. And just like we did the last time, we're going to work 2 double crochets in that first stitch, and then 1 double crochet in each stitch. Let's get through all the strands. There we go. In each stitch until we get to the chain 2 corner. Once we get to that chain 2 corner, work a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet in that chain 2 space, and then 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the turning chain at the end of the row. At the end of the row, we're going to work 3 double crochets. Now before we complete that last double crochet, I'm going to go to my new yarn color, which I'm going to bring in this beautiful violet color, and bring that in to complete the stitch. And as I do that, I'm going to go ahead and change my yarn colors. I'm going to go ahead and cut that multicolored stitch. And yes, I am a naughty person, naughty crocheter, so I'm going to go ahead and make a knot, just holding these 2 stitches together, or these 2 strands rather. And let's make sure that stitch doesn't come out. And I'm going to go ahead and slip this knot all the way down to the edge. I need about 3 hands to do this in front of a camera, as you can see. There we go. I feel better holding the hook for some reason. So we just slide that on down. Okay, I've swapped out my background so that you can see this yarn better. We are going to chain 4 to begin the row. We're going to work 2 double crochets in that very first stitch. Now we're going to begin the 4-post cable. I'm going to wrap my hook 2 times for that first treble crochet, skip the first 2 stitches, and then we're going to front post treble crochet and the next 2 stitches. Working in front of those 2 stitches, we're going to front post treble in the 2 stitches that we just skipped. Just like that. And that's what we're going to do as long as we have a multiple of 4 stitches to work with. So we skip the next 2, and we're going to front post treble in the next 2 stitches. Now if you need additional stitch support, please check the video description below, and I'll have additional stitch videos so that you can bone up on some of these. Now working in front of those last 2 stitches that we just formed, we're going to front post treble in the 2 stitches that we skipped. Just like that. And we're going to do this until we get to the chain 1 or chain 2 corner. Skip 2, and we're going to front post treble in each of the next 2, working in front of those 2 stitches. We're going to front post treble in those 2 stitches that we skipped. Now it's obvious we don't have enough stitches here for another cable, so we're just going to work a double crochet worked into the top loops of that stitch, and when we get to the chain 2 corner, we work the corner, which is a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet worked in that chain 2 space. And since we had 1 extra stitch here, we're going to go ahead and work an extra stitch on the other side. So for this corner, as you work through this shawl, a scarf, however long you want it to be, you're going to have different multiples here each time. So if you have 4 stitches here, you go ahead and form a 4-post cable. If you don't, just substitute double crochets in those spaces. And then we resume our 4-post cable. Skip 2 stitches and double front post treble crochet in the next 2 stitches, working in front of those stitches that we just skipped. Go ahead and front post treble in the 2 stitches that we skipped. and we're going to do that. Let me show you. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do one over these 4 stitches, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do the last one over that last set of 4. So I was just verifying, and that's how you can verify that you have enough stitches to do that. And the number of cables on each side, so for this side it's 1, 2, 3 cross cables. It should match the other side. So if the stitch count that you're working remains accurate, and if you're increasing on each side at the beginning and ending of each row, you should be fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish out this row. And then we have one more. We have 4 stitches left. 1, 2, skip those. Front post treble in the next 2 stitches. Working in front of those 2 stitches, let's go ahead and front post treble in those 2 stitches that we skipped. And then we get to the turning chain and go ahead and work 3 stitches in that chain. And that ends row 5. Now for row 6, we're going to turn. We're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to work, as always, 2 double crochets in that first stitch. That will not change for any of the rows. And then if you have extra double crochets, just work double crochets worked into the top. When it comes to working on the back side of this cable, we're going to work back post double crochets on each of those 4 stitches of the cable. So go ahead and work that all the way across on the back side of those cables, just 4 back post double crochets per cable. After working that on the back sides of those cables, we come to more double crochets. Just work double crochets worked into the top loops. And then now that brings us to our chain 2 in the center of the shawl. We're going to work double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet for that corner there. And then we're just going to continue this along the other side. Double crochets where there are standalone double crochets, work through the top loops, and then as you work over the cable, work back post double crochets. Remember, there are 4 for each of the cables, so that will help you to keep your stitch count on track. Now working over the last couple of double crochets in this row, and then in that chain space we're going to work 3 double crochets. All right, let's turn and see how this is looking. Okay, very nice. Now we're going to begin another row of a repeat of the row down here, which is the 4-post cable. We're going to be doing 6 rows of the 4-post cables. We've already completed 2, or in other words, 3 repeats of rows 1 and 2 of the 4-post cable. We're going to chain 4 at the beginning of the row and work those 2 double crochets in the very first stitch. Now what we're going to want to keep in mind is, do we have enough for a new cable? And we do. So of the standalone stitches, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches ready to go. So that is another cable. So let's go ahead and add a cable at the beginning, and let's check. And we should have, yes, we do have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches to add a cable at the other end. Okay, so we're going to skip 2 stitches and front post treble over the next 2 stitches, working in front of those 2 stitches, front post treble in the 2 stitches that we just skipped. I hope you can see this. I know that these are small stitches, but I'm trying to go at an equitable rate here. So then we go back over these other cables, and that should be easier to work since you already know which you skipped these 2 stitches, and then we're just adding to the previous cables at this point. Front post treble in those 2 stitches, and then working in front, we front post treble in the 2 stitches that we just skipped. So we're going to work this across these cables, and let's take a look at our count here. Okay, we only have 1, 2, 3 stitches here, so we will not be adding another cable here. Okay, so when you come to these 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, just work double crochets, and then when you come to the chain 2, you work a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and then again we're going to work 1, 2, 3 stitches over those 3 double crochets, and then continue with the crossing of the 4 post cables, 1, 2, 3, and then add 1 here 4 times. And then when you get to the turning chain, work 3 double crochets in that chain. So go ahead and finish this row. So I have finished row number 7, and I just wanted to show you that I have 1, 2, 3, and then a new cable here, 4 begun, and I worked 3 double crochets in the turning chain. And see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 cables now on that row on both sides, and everything is symmetrical. All right, so now let's go ahead and we're going to work row 8, which is the same as row number 6. We're going to chain 4. We're going to work 2 double crochets in that very first stitch, double crochet. Where we have double crochets, just work in through the top loops of those stitches on the standalone double crochets, and then when we get to the back side of the cable, we're going to work 4 back post double crochets for each of those cables. I just want to make sure that you're working 4 because it's really easy to forget the ones that are crossed behind. Okay, so we're going to work that all the way across. When we get to the more of the standalone, go ahead and put double crochets worked in through the top, and the turning chain or the chain 2, actually it's a corner, go ahead and work a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet worked in that space, double crochets, 4 back post double crochets along the back side of these cables, double crochet, and then 3 double crochets worked in the turning chain. So go ahead and finish row number 8. This is what you should have after completing 8 rows. Now for row number 9, we're going to chain 4 again, and you should be seeing a pattern to this at this point. 2 double crochets in that first stitch. And now see, do we have enough? Yes, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 additional stitches. So let's go ahead and bring that into another cable stitch. Skip 2, front post, treble in the next 2 stitches. And working in front of those 2 stitches, we're going to front post treble. Yeah, it's really difficult to see the darker colors, isn't it? All right, and front post treble in those 2 stitches. I hope you can see that clearly enough. Now we're just going to continue that with the crossing of the cables where you skip 2, front post treble in these 2, and then working in front post treble in the 2 you skipped. We're going to do that 1, 2, 3, 4 more times. And look, behold, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches here. So we're going to also add in a new cable here. So skip these 2, front post treble in these 2, and then working in front of those stitches, front post treble in those 2 stitches, and then you'll have an additional double crochet here to work in the top loops. And then when you get to the chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and then again double crochet in this stitch, form a new cable out of these 4 stitches, and then continue with the cabling as I showed you over these stitches, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, you can add another cable right in there. So cable over those as well, and 3 stitches, 3 double crochets in the turning chain, turn, and then for row 10, go ahead and work the same as row 8, where we work double crochets and the double crochets that are standing alone, and back post double crochets over the back side of the cable. So go ahead and finish rows 9 and 10. At the end of row 10, I'm going to go ahead and switch out back to the color changing yarn with my chain 4, and then I'm going to go ahead and trim this color and knot them together. Now the next 4 rows are going to be the same as what we worked in the first few rows, and I will just show you the beginning of this row and go ahead and just repeat this 4 times. Okay, we're going to work 2 double crochets in the first stitch, and we're just going to be working in the top loops all the way across. So double crochet, working in the top loops in each stitch all the way across until we get to the chain 2 corner, and then again we work double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in that chain 2 corner, and double crochet in each stitch across, and then in the turning chain work 3 double crochets. So go ahead and do that 4 times, making 4 rows with this color. After working those 4 rows with the speckled yarn, I'm going to change to another color, my blue yarn. But now if you only are going to be working this with 2 different colors, you can just go back to color number 2 on this. We'll call this one color number 3. All right, and let's go ahead and do some chains. We're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to set this aside so I can deal with trimming the yarn I was using previously, and I'm going to go ahead and join these. All right, so before we begin, let's go ahead and take a look at what we have so far. All right, so now we are ready to work the shadow box. But before we do that, we're going to work those 2 double crochets at the beginning of the row. Now the shadow box is very similar to the honeycomb, but it is different in that we are not working these as post stitches, but we are working these directly in through the top loops. Okay, we're going to skip the first 2 stitches, and then we're going to work a treble crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Now working behind these 2 stitches, we're going to work in the top loops of the 2 stitches that we just skipped. So do keep in mind these are not post stitches, and then we work the second one. I think you may find that these are a little bit easier than working post stitches. Skip the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to work a treble crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Now this is where this is different. We're going to work in front of these last 2 stitches, and we work in the 2 stitches that we skipped. And then the second one. So you see how the stitches form kind of a large V here. And then when we come back with the next row, we're going to enclose it on top. Okay. Now we're going to do this all the way across the row. Skip the next 2 stitches. Treble in the next stitch and the next stitch. So 2 stitches there with the trebles. Working behind those 2 stitches. This is where you have to pay attention. As you go across, I would encourage you to do a lot of visual checks to know whether you're going to work behind or in front of those last 2 stitches. Okay, skip the next 2 stitches and treble crochet in the next 2 stitches. And now this is where we work in front. We're just alternating, whether we work them in back of the previous stitches or in front. And let me just show you what I mean. Okay, by a quick visual check, every so often make sure that the stitches that are on the surface go down and then up go down and then up, so that you're making V's down and up all the way across. Definitely check often, because I promise you it's so easy to make the mistake, and I have already done a couple incidences of ripping stitches out because I didn't catch it soon enough. Okay, skip the next two, and I'll just do this just one more time. Treble crochet in those next two stitches. Now we worked in front the last time, so now I'm going to work behind and treble crochet in those two skipped stitches. Skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and treble crochet in the next, in the next 2 stitches. Okay, so now I'm going to work. Let's just do a quick check here. So it goes down, up, down, and so this is going to be worked in front, in case you forget. Let's try that again. Sometimes it's easy to catch on to the other stitch. Okay, so we're going to do this all the way across. Now this is a multiple of 8, so when you make the shadow boxes, make sure that the V goes down and then up. So once you run out of multiples of 8, then we're just going to substitute with just double crochets worked in the top loops. So when I get to that point, I will show you what I have. Okay, I have worked across, and let me count these with you. I have 1 V, 2 V's, 3, 4, and 5. So 5 sets of 8 stitch beginnings of the shadow box, and I have 3 stitches before the chain 2 corner. So go ahead and work double crochets in these 3 stitches. Now as you work the repeats, as this shawl or scarf, whichever you want this to be, gets larger, these numbers may change, and if you make a mistake here and there, you know, the numbers may change because of that, but don't worry about that too much. As long as it looks very symmetrical, I think you can work with the mistakes. We can just you can deal with it. You can add a stitch here or there, or you could just simply roll with the numbers that you have. Okay, but at any rate, you can look at the pattern which will be available, or you really, you know, you could just omit that if you're comfortable with just not knowing exactly how many stitches that you do here, but just make sure that whatever you have here is parallel or symmetrical to what you're going to work here. So we have 1, 2, 3 stitches in the stitches that are not part of the shadow box. So we'll do 1, 2, and 3. Do a quick visual check. So we have 3 stitches, then plus the corner with the 2 double crochets in the chain 2. Now we're ready to begin working the shadow box on the other side, but they skip 2 stitches and then go back to those treble crochets. So I'm going to go ahead and work the shadow boxes on the other side, and then I'll show you what I have. At the end of this row, I'm going to work 3 double crochets, just like we do at the end of every row. All right, and let's just do a visual check. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big V's on this side and 5 on this side to match. So don't forget to take a look and do a quick visual check. You will be saving yourself lots of time if you have to rip things out. Go ahead and chain 4 for the next row, and as usual, we're going to work those 2 double crochets. Now we're going to go ahead and put double crochets and the standalone double crochets like we've been doing. And again, this number, if you're going to watch this, you know, to get stitch support on the second or even third or fourth times through as your project grows, just know that those numbers may be slightly different than what you're seeing right now. Okay, now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and we are going to treble crochet in those next 2 stitches. Now working behind these stitches, we're going to work trebles in the 2 stitches that we just skipped. Now, whoops, let's give that stitch another try. I'm trying to be very careful, and working with it out in front of me, in front of the camera, is a joy to do, but it's not always held in the place where I best can get these stitches through. Okay, and now we're going to do this again. We're going to skip 2 stitches here, and we're going to treble in the next stitch, next 2 stitches, working through the top loops, working in front of these 2 stitches. We're basically working a repeat of the last row, but let me show you what's going to happen when we do it this way. You have to be sure that as you're working this with the back side facing you, that you have this kind of an X now on the surface with these 2 rows. Can you see that? Now look what happens. This is the front side facing, and now we have this like a shadow box. Well, that's what it's called, a shadow box, and you can see that these stitches on the outside form a box. So that's what we are doing. So let's go ahead and do that one more time. Skip 2. Again, remember, with the back side facing, see, this is the back side, you will be forming these big X's. And you can always flip around to the front side facing just to verify that it is looking the way you want it to look. Now working behind those 2 stitches, treble crochet in those 2 stitches that we skipped. And skip the next 2 stitches, treble crochet in the next 2 stitches. Whoops, got away from me again. There we go. And again, working in front of those last 2 stitches, treble crochet in those 2 stitches that we just skipped. All right, let's go ahead and take a pause. And now you see 2 X's, one here and here. This, again, with the back side facing, this is what it's going to look like. And with the front side, you see 2 beautiful, one here, these 2 shadow boxes. So we're going to just work this all the way across, and just, again, we're just going to be filling in these extra stitches, and make sure you do the double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the chain 2 space or the corner. And then we're going to just continue working across, and make sure you put 3 double crochets in the chain, turning chain space here. And at the end of this row, we're going to switch back to the white color speckled yarn that I've been using, which was actually color number 1. At the end of this row, it is time once again to change back to the color changing or that speckled yarn. And go ahead and do my chains, 1, 2, 3, 4. But before we go any further, I do need to trim this yarn. But let's look at the back side of what we have so far. And let's take a look at the front side, which should look a whole lot better. Okay, you can see the double crochets, the 4-post cables, and then again the double crochets and the shadow boxes. Okay, so now what we're going to do, and I will list this in the video description below, we are going to repeat this over and over until you get to the point where your project is the size that you want, or until you run out of yarn, or whichever comes first. So this is what you are going to do as you repeat. You're going to work 4 rows with the double crochets, as I just explained, and then 6 rows of the 4-post cable. This would be color number 1, and this is color number 2. back to color number 1 with 4 rows of the double crochets, and then the 2 rows with color number 3, or whichever color you're using. If you're just using 2 colors, it would be back to color number 2 with these shadow boxes. So you're just going to repeat these 4 things over and over again, and then what I will do is I will show you at the end. I have a special trim to end the shawl with, and I will show you how to work that once you get it to the point where you are ready to complete the project. All right, I'm really excited to show you what I have so far. As you remember, we started with these double crochet rows here, and then went to the 4-post cable, the 4 rows of double crochet, and then we worked the shadow box, and then the 4 rows of double crochet. So starting with the cables, double crochets, shadow box, double crochets, I actually repeated these rows twice more, or 2 more times. Okay, so here and here, and it was on this last little piece that I ran out. Of course, I was playing yarn chicken, as we say in the crochet world. Ran out of the original color here, but I decided to just go ahead and finish this row with this. If you don't like the way that looks, and I honestly don't think it's going to stand out that much, but if you're using yarn from your stash and scraps and so forth, it really isn't going to be that big of a deal. But if you don't like the way that looks, you could also just pull back one of these rows and it would be fine. I'm going to go ahead and hide all these loose ends. So let me give you a quick tutorial. I've gone ahead and I've threaded both of the threads into the yarn needle. I'm doing this because the colors are very close, and it's going to save me some time, and I don't think it's going to be an issue. So let's go ahead and run this under these stitches just like this. And if you prefer to do these one at a time, you can certainly do that. I just don't think it's really going to be necessary with all the colors that are going on with this. I think it's going to be hidden very well. Okay, so then I give this a pull. Okay, and that is pretty well hidden. I'm going to go ahead and trim that. I'm going to trim close, but I'm very careful not to trim the stitches. And notice that I did pull back on this before I trimmed that. So now that I've hidden all those loose strands, let's take a look at, just give you another quick look at this. I'll show you a better view once I get some photos taken at the end. But I'm really enjoying this. I definitely know that I'm going to be blocking this since I'm using the wool in this. I think it's going to really help this to settle out a lot better. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and start with the edging. And you're going to notice that I did switch yarns. I did run out of this yarn. And if you don't like the way this looks, if you're running out of maybe the yarn you're using, if you're using yarn from your stash or whatever, you can just work 3 rows of this and then just continue with what I'm going to do. It really doesn't matter if it's facing with the front side up or the front side or the back side up. It really isn't going to matter from this point. I think the edging will look fine either way. Okay, now we're ready to work the final finishing along the edging. And as you'll notice, I did have to go back to the color number 1 here because I did run out of yarn just short of finishing the round. But I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm just going to roll with this. If you don't like the look of this and suppose you run out of yarn like I did with your particular design, if you just wanted to stop at 3 rows with the variegated color, that's perfectly fine. I'm just going to go ahead and go with what I have here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to go ahead and continue my increases by working those 2 stitches in that first stitch. And then I'm going to work a single crochet in each of the next 9 stitches as well, so that I have a total of 11 single crochets at the very start of this row. After working those first 11 single crochets, I'm going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm going to turn with the back side facing me now, and I'm going to skip 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to single crochet in that next stitch. Then I'm going to turn back around, and I'm going to work 10 single crochets in that chain 7 space. That's 5. Okay, so that's a total of 10 single crochets worked in that chain 7 space. After we do that, we're going to start in the next stitch that we have not used, and we're going to single crochet in the next 21 stitches. Let me show you what I have so far. So after crocheting those 21 single crochets, we're going to repeat the chain 7 again. So we're going to chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we're going to turn, and we're going to skip 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, single crochet in that next stitch. There we go. And turn back and work 10 single crochets in that chain 7 space. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And let's just take the time to verify. Okay, we have our 10 single crochets, and then we do it all over again, and that's going to be the repeat across the row, at least until we get to the chain 2 corner. We're going to single crochet in the next 21 stitches, and then after we do that, we turn, chain 7, and then go back the other direction, skip 6 stitches, single crochet, and then work the 10 single crochets in that chain 7 space. So go ahead and work that until you get near the chain 2 corner. Okay, so I have worked this to the chain 2 corner, and it just so happens that I have worked 21 single crochets, and here is the chain 2 corner. Now, if you are working different multiples or different numbers of repeats of the pattern, it might not work out exactly like this. Do feel free to adjust how you come to the corner. You may want to put an extra shell in this section, or you may just want to follow like what I'm doing, but just adjust the number of stitches on either side. You're free to do that. Well, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish by chaining 7. Then I'm going to turn, and again skip 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to single crochet in that next space, and then turn, and then again work my 10 single crochets over that chain 7 space. Maybe 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to work a single crochet in that next space. I'm going to work 3 single crochets in that chain space, and then 1 single crochet in this space. So no matter how you end getting to the corner, whatever you do on this side, do it the same on the other side so that it mirrors the image. Okay, then after that, we're going to just continue working in the same stitch pattern. Now, in order for both sides of this to be symmetrical, I'm going to begin after working that first single crochet. I'm going to work 6 more single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then I'm going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Turn, skip 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then single crochet in that next space. And then I'm going to turn back, and as you can see, that's going to be symmetrical on both sides, and that's what we want. And then after we do our 10 single crochets, that's 9 and 10. Then we're back to our established pattern of working single crochets in the next 21 stitches, and then chain 7, skip 6, single crochet in the next stitch, and then working those 10 single crochets in the chain 7 space. So go ahead and work this along the other side of your shawl. So I've worked this all the way across the other side, and on each side of the chain 2 corner, which is right here, you should have 8 of these large loops with the single crochets. Okay, now we're going to finish off this edge. We're going to work a single crochet in the last 3 stitches, and go ahead and work your usual 3 stitches in that chain 3 turning chain, just like that. For the second row of the finishing, we are going to chain 1 and go ahead and work 2 stitches in that first stitch, again just the way we've been working, and in the next 2 stitches. So we're going to skip the next 2 single crochets, 1, 2, these are the 2 that have not been used, and then we're going to go to the single crochet right here, which is the first single crochet on the chain 7 loop, and we're going to work a double crochet in that single crochet, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to single crochet in that first chain of the chain 4, and then we're going to do that in each of the next 8 single crochets. We're going to repeat that, double crochet in the next single crochet, chain 4, single crochet in that first chain, and then we're going to do that in the next stitch. We're going to do this until we get to the last single crochet that is on this chain 7 loop. Chain 4, single crochet in that first, there we go, in that first chain, making the picot, and then we double crochet in that next stitch, chain 4, single crochet in that next stitch, and then do it again. We're going to do this 1, 2, 3, 4, single crochet, that one's being a little stubborn, and then do it again, double crochet with the next stitch, and just show you how lovely that is going to look. And then single crochet in that first chain. Okay, we're almost there. One, two, three, 4.
single crochet in that next space. Okay, and we have 2 more. One, 2, 3, 4. Single crochet in that next space. Now the last single crochet right here, we are only going to work, there we go, it might be a little hard to get there. That first single crochet as we went the other direction, we're just going to work a double crochet only without the picot. So I'm going to go ahead and let's take a look at this. So we have with the picot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then the 10th double crochet is just by itself without the picot. After completing those 10 double crochets, 9 of which with the picots, we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, single crochet in that next stitch, skip 3 more, 1, 2, 3, and in the next stitch we are going to work a double crochet, chain 4, and work that single crochet to form the picot. We're going to do that again, a double crochet, chain 4, and work a single crochet in that first chain, and then we're going to do it one more time, chain 4, and then work a picot with that single crochet in the first chain, and then one more double crochet. Let's stop and take a look at that. So we have a double crochet with the picot, double crochet with the picot, double crochet with the picot, and then a double crochet. Now we're going to skip 3 more, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to single crochet in that next space. And this is going to be your repeat all the way across. So now we go back to skipping the next 2 stitches, and then we begin that double crochet process all over again in that next grouping with the double crochet, chain 4, single crochet, there we go, in that first chain, and we just repeat that all the way around. Remember, the last double crochet or the 10th double crochet, you do not work the picot. Okay, so go ahead and work that all the way across the row, or work it at least until you get to the chain 2 corner, and then I will show you how to proceed from there. Now that I've come to the chain 2 corner, I'm going to just skip 1 stitch. I'm going to single crochet in the next single crochet, and then I'm going to skip the next single crochet right here, just skipping 1 instead of 2, and then just continue on in the pattern stitch on the other side. Okay, so that's making our picot and then continuing on with the double crochet. So just wanted to show you how I'm handling that section right there. Now if you have a different multiples on each side, you can just fill these with single crochets and just continue to go. If you'd like, you can even work a separate fan picot stitch in the center if you have enough room on each side, or even a small one like this. So there are lots of options. So after working this all the way across, I'm going to skip the next 2 stitches, single crochet in the next, and then I'm going to work a slip stitch in the next stitch and fasten off. Cut a generous strand, and then I'm going to go ahead and hide this loose thread and the rest of the loose threads. I'm going to go ahead and wet block this entire project, and then I'll show you what I have.
Well, I hope you enjoyed whatever variation you did on the Liberty Shawl with me today. Please let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your experience with this. God bless. Bye-bye.